Welcome back to another explainer. Today, we're going to tear down the massive business model and the highly anticipated upcoming IPO of Augmont Enterprises. If you've ever bought digital gold on your smartphone, there's actually a very high chance you've interacted with this exact company without even realizing it. They are essentially the hidden infrastructure engine powering India's entire digital gold rush. So we're going to break down their valuation report, their absolutely stunning financial growth, and exactly why they're commanding so much attention in the primary markets right now. Let's get into it. But real quick, before we dive into the weeds, a very important note. This explainer is strictly for educational purposes. Now, we are going to objectively discuss the equity research report's subscribe rating and the gray market premiums later on, but remember, this is not a direct buy or sell recommendation from us. Investing carries inherent risks, so you should absolutely always conduct your own due diligence and consult a qualified financial advisor before making any moves.
All right, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the digital gold engine, then take a look inside Augmont's business model, break down the financials, look at the 825 crore rupee IPO, weigh the risks and rewards, and wrap up with the final verdict and strategy.
Part 1. The digital gold engine. Okay, to really understand why a company like Augmont is thriving right now, we have to look at how India actually buys gold. It's been a dramatic 2-decade shift. Think back to between 2005 and 2012. Domestic gold consumption was incredibly fragmented. We're talking mostly unorganized local jewelers and unrefined imports with very little institutional oversight. But then, between 2013 and 2017, the government stepped in. They introduced the Goods and Services Tax, mandatory BIS hallmarking, and strict import policies. This forced the whole market to institutionalize. Suddenly, those mom-and-pop shops desperately needed corporate supply chains. And then, the real game changer hit between 2018 and 2022, UPI and smartphones. Literally overnight, you didn't need to walk into a physical store to buy gold anymore. You could just tap your phone. Digital gold trading volume exploded from under half a ton in 2016 to over 5 tons by 2022. And lately, as global gold prices have just skyrocketed, people are leaning heavily into fractional digital gold, buying tiny, affordable amounts at a time. This massive structural shift perfectly set the stage for backend infrastructure platforms to just take off. Moving right along to part 2, inside Augmont's business model. Let's examine their competitive moat and the actual plumbing of how this company operates within this modernized ecosystem. What's super fascinating here is that while you might see dozens of different fintech apps offering digital gold on your app store, the backend is essentially a competitive triopoly. It's a 3-player game. Augmont shares this space with 2 other absolute giants, MMTC PAMP, which is a joint venture between the Indian government and a Swiss firm, and SafeGold, which is backed by the World Gold Council ecosystem. So how does Augmont stand out? Well, they have this unique integrated phygital model. They refine raw scrap and imported bullion themselves, and then they feed that into both bulk wholesale distribution for traditional jewelers and digital APIs for those modern apps. They are quite literally supplying the liquidity, the refining, and the real-time pricing for a huge chunk of the domestic digital gold ecosystem. So let's look at how this architecture powers a real-world transaction. When you open up your favorite app, say Crore or Google Pay, and you buy digital gold for as little as 1 rupee, Augmont is the engine executing that trade in the background. In step 1, they process your retail order. Almost instantly, in step 2, Augmont executes a hedge on the commodity exchange. This is absolutely crucial to protect them against wild price volatility. And finally, in step 3, they allocate physical 999.9 purity gold and place it into highly secure vaults managed by Brinks India. So how do they make money off this? It's all in the buy-sell spread, minting charges if you ever take physical delivery, and API utilization fees from their partner apps. All right, part 3, breaking down the financials. With that operational scale in mind, let's see how this API-driven model translates into cold, hard numbers. And honestly, they are mind-blowing. Augmont has experienced astronomical top-line growth. Back in fiscal year 2024, their revenue from operations was already massive at nearly 34,900 crore rupees. But check this out. By FY26, that number surged to over 94,180 crore rupees. That is a jaw-dropping jump in just 2 years. This acceleration is directly tied to the expanding trading volumes on their proprietary spot platform and the massive consumer adoption of digital gold micro-savings products across the country. Now, the really crucial point here is understanding their margins. If you look at their net profit margin for FY26, it sits at a razor-thin 0.37%. To a casual observer, that sounds pretty terrible, right? But in the world of high-turnover bullion refiners, this is actually standard. See, because their fintech APIs allow them to process millions of incremental digital gold transactions at almost zero variable cost, their asset rotation is incredibly high. And because of that massive volume, that tiny 0.37% margin translated into a staggering 358% surge in net profits over 2 years, pulling in 348.3 crore rupees in net earnings for FY26. Finding a direct listed peer for Augmont is kind of tricky because they're this unique hybrid of a physical refiner and a digital tech platform. But if we benchmark them against traditional brick-and-mortar jewelers, say Titan or Lalitha Jewellery, the differences are pretty stark. Traditional retailers have much higher profit margins, we're talking around 3.5 to over 6%, but they are heavily bogged down by expensive real estate, store maintenance, and retail inventory drag. That's exactly why consumer brands like Titan trade at very high price-to-earnings multiples of around 65x. Augmont, on the other hand, operates the slick, asset-light fintech model. At the IPO's upper price band, they are valued at a much more reasonable implied PE multiple of roughly 22.5x their FY26 earnings. Which brings us to part 4, the 825 crore rupee IPO. With that impressive scale and valuation context in mind, let's look at why they're actually tapping the public markets right now. The company has finalized the parameters for an 825 crore rupee initial public offering. And this isn't just founders cashing out and heading to the beach. The offering is split into a 205 crore offer for sale by the promoters, but the vast majority, 620 crore rupees, is a fresh issue of equity. That means that capital is going directly onto the company's balance sheet to fuel the business. So what are they doing with it? Well, what's really interesting is how that fresh capital will directly solve their biggest current headache, which is working capital constraints. In FY26, despite those massive revenues we just talked about, Augmont actually posted a negative cash flow from operations of minus 42.2 crore. Why did that happen? Because as global gold prices reached record highs, holding physical inventory and fulfilling margin requirements on commodity hedging exchanges just sucked up a ton of cash. This fresh 620 crore infusion will immediately patch up that negative cash flow. It fully funds their necessary inventory procurement and provides the advanced margins they need to handle even larger trading volumes safely. Let's look at part 5, weighing risks and rewards. Look, every investment has risks, and any objective explainer needs to look at both sides of the coin. The report lays them out pretty clearly. On the risk side, you definitely have the severe cash flow strains from global gold price volatility that we just unpacked. Plus, they're entirely dependent on their tech infrastructure. I mean, if the Augmont spot platform goes down or gets hacked, price discovery completely halts. There's also some regulatory risk, as digital gold doesn't yet have a dedicated regulator in the same way SEBI regulates gold ETFs. But on the reward side, the fundamentals are incredibly compelling. You have massive operating leverage as API transactions scale up against fixed costs. You have that 620 core capital infusion directly solving their cash flow risks. And honestly, most importantly, you have an entrenched market position within a highly exclusive infrastructure triopoly. They are perfectly positioned to ride the ongoing wave of digital asset accumulation across India. And finally, part 6, the final verdict in strategy. So let's break down the report's actionable conclusion and look at the primary market sentiment heading into this IPO. According to the data as of August 19, 2026, the sentiment out there is highly positive. The stock is currently commanding a gray market premium of 190 rupees per share over the upper issue price. Now, if this holds up, it indicates an estimated listing gain of over 24% on day one. It's a really strong signal of primary market demand for companies sitting right at the intersection of traditional metals and modern fintech. Based on all this data, the Equity Research Report officially issues a subscribe rating, aiming for both short-term listing gains and long-term capital appreciation. The bidding window opens on August 21st and closes on August 25th, 2026. The report recommends submitting bids at the cutoff price of 788 rupees to ensure participation, with a minimum retail application lot size of 19 shares. That's going to require a capital commitment of 14,972 rupees. Once again, just a reminder that we are impartially reporting the source's findings here, so please make sure you do your own research before placing any bids. Ultimately, Augmont represents a totally fascinating blend of ancient value storage and cutting-edge financial technology. By digitizing gold all the way down to the single rupee, they are structurally shifting how a massive population saves and invests. So the big question now is, how will this acceleration in digital financialization continue to shape the broader markets?
And more importantly for us, which stock or upcoming IPO should we break down in our next explainer? Let us know what you want us to dive into next, and as always, keep learning and keep exploring.